analysis, metrics, and spreadsheets in the Bible. Who would have thought you would find that in the Bible? But there it is. He's going to show us where it comes from. Here's something about Ryan. He and his wife of 11 years, Louisa, had 3 kids, 9, 6, and 3. I was kind of struck with 9, 6, 3. There's something about order in this man's life. A boy and 2 girls in that order. Together they focused their lives on Jesus Christ and growing with faith, and through their local church. In recent years, Ryan has been involved in helping his church grow. They built an exciting new building and relocated big time for it, perhaps. But since the financial struggle became the focal point of questions, his involvement with friends and other churches have made it clear that his home church is no isolated case. Today in America, it seems church growth is king. Yet, do we know what real growth is? Ryan will be asking that question. So, our next prepared speaker, Mr. Ryan Stamm.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Toastmasters, honored guests. I'm here to ask some questions. I would like to ask some questions about church growth. Some things just to add to my title about metrics and measurables in the Bible. The second half of that title, and I maybe put in the email there, is I can't find them. So in the church today, we have lots of statistical analysis. We study and track numbers like they're going out of style. I'll read a little bit here. The U.S. church is in a general state of decline, with fewer than 20% of the population attending church regularly. 7.9 million people leave the church annually. That's 150,000 people a week. This is according to Outreach Magazine. Another study from Outreach Magazine, 94% of churches in America today are either stagnant or in decline. My home church is just down the road here, Huntersville United Methodist Church. The United Methodist Church as a whole in the last decade is down about 30%. Now we're seeing growth in places like Africa and Korea, exciting growth. But we try all kinds of things in my home church to grow. We track metrics, we track numbers, we measure things. And for the life of me, I've been involved and I can't figure out why. Why can't we grow? Well, the answer has come to me, I think. And it's, you guys might think it sounds silly, but here's the answer. God doesn't hire accountants. Now let me explain this a little bit. We as people, as human beings, we have finite minds. You see, we have to deal in numbers to make sense of the world. We have to aggregate numbers. That's how we look at things. We look at the world according to how we see other people. You see a person that has 100 people that works for them is somehow higher than somebody that doesn't have so many people working for them. We look at how much money somebody has. There's another number we can deal with. That puts them at another level. You see, we deal with this, and we measure growth in ways that aren't necessarily how God would see it. You see, God has a finite mind. He deals with things that are non-quantifiable. God deals in things like hope, faith, love, commitment. So the Bible teaches us something about this, and this has raised a great question in my mind. In the story of Acts in the early church, in Acts 2:42 in fact, the Bible records that the apostles devoted themselves to the apostles' teachings and to fellowship and to the breaking of bread and to prayer. You see, these things are all the things that our friend Paul in the Bible wrote about. There were 13 epistles written to the early churches around the area in Bible times. And all the things that Paul wrote about were all in these 4 areas. Paul never wrote about metrics. In fact, it was all about these 4 pieces. I have time today just to give one example. I was watching a show. It was a magazine show. I think it was a NBC kind of Nightline magazine show. They had 2 veterans from Iraq that had lost their legs, and both of them were speaking together. And while I was fascinated with the technology of the prosthetics that they had, both of them responded in the same way as a benefit of getting these prosthetics. Both of them said it was wonderful to be able to hug their family members again. Now, you see, the problem was that the wheelchairs, the structures in which they sat, they could still hug. But there was something about that wheelchair, that structure, that got in between them and another person and enjoying that love and fellowship with another person in a hug. So, what structures might be in our way today? Might it be buildings? Might it be the structures of finances? Might it be hierarchies in our church that prevent us from letting those things that are infinite that God deals with, like love, fellowship? What structures might get in the way? You see, there's a clincher to all this in this story in Acts, when we're talking about these 4 areas that the church focused on. There's a clincher to it, because later on in the story, as the apostles are meeting together and enjoying their fellowship and studying the Bible together, getting in the Word and breaking bread together, the Bible records that the Lord added to their number. So I'm asking a lot of questions as I work with my church and frankly other churches that I work with. We all know the phrase, keep the main thing the main thing. And so I'm just here to ask some questions. Are we keeping the main thing the main thing? Are we focusing on letting God's infinite blessings flow? Or are we focused on the structures that are getting in our way of true fellowship?